Good morning, good morning. I am running an errand for work, and I just want to stop for a second to make a video on the importance of staying on your medication and taking your medication if that is something that you are spiritually and physically and biologically aligned with. What I mean by that is I am someone who believes in natural remedies to heal the body, but I also do believe in medication. And I'll tell you two stories. Well, first of all, so I would never impose someone to take their medication unless it's something that they really needed to do and that they knew as a person that they needed to do, and that maybe they consulted with a really great physician that helped them to understand I wouldn't say how important it is to take medication, because I'm trying to be very specific in my language about the fact that I support people not taking medication. I also support people staying on medication. So let me just tell you two stories as to why they're both personal. One is about myself and one is about my mother, and I'll start with my mother's story. My family on my mother's side has a history of mental illness, at least very clearly. My mother went missing when I was 8, and she was manic depressive, went through bouts of she was bipolar as well. She was diagnosed as bipolar when she was 15. She was a brilliant woman, very beautiful, but suffered from alcohol abuse and substance abuse, and went through many medications in her time. And at that time, 20 years ago, we didn't know as much about medication for people who are mentally ill. So she tried many different meds, and the thing that happened the night that she went missing is she was not on her medication, and she was not on her medication many times, but I do believe that if she had been on a much better medication, that she would have still been here. Now, do I think that if someone might have captured her and murdered her, that might be a different story, but she was on her way home, and I think that my mother would have made much more logical and clear decisions if she had been on the right medication. She stayed on it, because it's not just about her going missing. She made a lot of very naive, I guess, decisions because of the fact that she was mentally ill. And so I support medication for that purpose, because that's what she needed. She needed medication to survive. She needed medication to be able to get through the issues that she was going through, and to do things in a very just healthy way. And so I really do believe in medication for people. My personal story is that I have major depressive disorder according to the DSM, and which is the manual for mental health disorders. And I tried to not be on medication for a really, really long time. I would do lots of different remedies, trying St. John's wort, trying changing my diet, all these different things. I have PCOS, so that also contributes to depression. But it's a biological thing for me, and I do believe that's genetic, because a lot of my family members on this side also suffer from depression. And so as much as I tried all these different things to try to keep myself mentally sound, I would always find myself going into these very negative thought patterns of self-harm, and that's, I suffered with this for many years. I've had depression consciously, from what I remember, from when I was 12 until and I don't mean situational depression where something happens in your life and you're feeling depressed. I mean, you go through these periods where every 6 weeks you feel this drop and you want to sleep and you want to just not be around anymore. And it started to get worse as I was in high school and college and my young adult years, and now I'm 29 and I got on medication just last year. So for 28 minus 12, 16 years I was suffering from mental illness, and now I'm on a medication. I take Lexapro, and I really enjoy it because it does make me feel tired sometimes, but that's because I need the higher dose for my body. But when I am not on Lexapro, I'm not always doing well. And the reason why I say this is because I can be doing well for a really long time, but when the drop happens where I start to go into a depressive episode, it happens very suddenly. I don't always know how to recognize it. I mean, I've been able to recognize it more now, But it's a very hard time for me because of the fact that I go into such a dark period and I can't control it. It's not because something bad has happened necessarily. Like I've gone to depressive episodes on some amazing days where I've had a really great event and been around great people. And then this is the depressive episode that led me to get on medication. Was I had a really amazing day, and I remember I started to feel very cloudy, and I left this event, and I was sitting in my car, and I literally started to have these thoughts of self-harm that came very fast into my brain. And I called one of my friends who's a licensed professional psychologist, and I told her what was going on, and she's like, you cannot be alone now, all these things. And I have had these before, but this tiredness and the busyness of my life, like being tired, like helps me because I can sleep through it sometimes, but it's also made me neglect a lot of my friendships and people around me because I will use the excuse of like I'm busy, and they won't understand that it's literally your body can't, in these times go forth and give people what they need to have a healthy relationship and a friendship, and it's affected my job and all these different things. Excuse me. But so I have to stay on my medication for my mental health, and for the main reason is I think life is beautiful and I have a really great life with people around me, and I intend to do a lot more things in my life. But the only way I can do that is to stay around. And if I'm not on my medication and I experience these drops that happen sporadically, which I've kind of documented when mine happen, it's like about every 6 to 7 weeks I feel a drop. Because I didn't know it was possible to really document, but and this is just like in a normal period, I feel it every 6 to 7 weeks. But if there's something that's happened in my life that might trigger me more, then it might happen sooner. But naturally my chemicals just drop, and so I'm missing a lot of those happy hormones. I'm a naturally super happy person. Anybody who knows me will tell you this. But I have to stay on my medication so that I continue to live a great life. And I think one of the things that I struggled with for so long was the shame around it of like, I can't get myself to be better. I can't get myself to do this. So I would get on my medication at first and then get off it. And then if I trace my trauma back to my issues of medication, it came back to my mother, which is why I told you that story of my mother being so mentally ill. I mean, to the point of like, you see people in these movies that are literally coming out of psych wards and the light is flickering and they're like walking towards you. My mother was like that. And, when she was on medication, she was a much better person, for people around her and for herself and for life, the essence of life. And when I'm in a depressive episode, I'm not good company. I'm very sad. I can't make, like, I'm naturally a giver, and it becomes all about me and like me not wanting to, me retreating. Like, I'm someone who's an extrovert, and I retreat. I go into these periods of like serious self-harm. And so and the thoughts when I am not on medication and I'm in an episode, they're very strong. When my medication kicks in, if I haven't been on it, like after like about a week or 5 days, the thoughts slowly go away. And it's so amazing how it happens. Like I remember the last episode that I had that I was on my meds, when I was I went to Puerto Rico with some friends and I didn't have a medication. I remember getting back on my meds and the thoughts just went away so suddenly, like after a few days. Like it was just like a breath of fresh air. So, getting on medication is super important because if you want to live a good life and you have a mental disorder, there's no shame in your disorder, but you have to be proactive about it. And getting a really good professional to help you, like I've had great psychologists, great psychiatrists in my life, great nurse practitioners, great doctors to help me. Get someone who cares about you, who, if you look at your journal, the things that you're concerned about with getting on medication, talk to someone about like the things that are really bothering you, like why you don't want to be on meds. What do you feel? Like, what do you not want to feel? Like, that's what helped me to get on the right medication, because Lexapro was my first start. And if I had any other issues, they were going to put me on another medication, which Lexapro luckily works for me. But you have to stay on your medication if it's the best thing for your life. And not everyone needs medication, I understand, but for those that need it, please stay on it, because it's super important. And I want people to live and try out medications, try different doctors, try different professionals. The right people will help you and get you on the right path. So I hope that you find the help you need. And if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here. Have a great day.